Hi guys, it's ProdigyRex back with another video, and today we will be reading Lunch Money Chapter 6. So let's begin. Now, Chapter 6, Sour Business. Sometimes a disagreement between two kids stays that way, just between the kids themselves. But the clash between Greg and Maura has always been right out in the open, and it had deep historical roots. The wrangling had been noticed by their parents, by their neighbors, by all their friends, and especially by every teacher who ever had them in the same classroom. Greg and Maura squabbled like cats and dogs all day long, trying to outdo each other. My classroom's not big enough with those two around. That's how the first grade teacher, Mrs. Gibson, have described the situation. Maura and Shaw are both so headstrong they have a personality conflict. That's what their fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Havershaw, have to say about it. They're like positive and negative numbers, always trying to cancel each other out. That's how Mr. Zentopoulos tried to explain it. Now that Greg and Maura are both in 6th grade, he was their math teacher. As Greg stood outside in the music room on Thursday afternoon, holding up an insy-binsy book in his long, thin face, had a deep, fierce scowl. How did he describe his problem with Maura? "I hate her guts." Strong words. It was an expression that Greg had picked up from watching old gangster movies. It was also a pretty stupid expression, because if Maura's guts had came walking down the hall, Greg wouldn't have noticed them. The truth is, all guts are pretty much alike. But Greg wasn't thinking logically at that moment, and saying that he hated Maura's gut did not feel like too strong of a statement. In fact, it wasn't strong enough, because as far as Greg was concerned, Maura was no better than a common thief. She had always been a copycat, which was bad enough, but Greg couldn't stand it when she tried to weasel into his money-making ideas. Maura had been a bother for years, and now this. Greg stuffed Maura's insy-binsy book into his right pocket and ducked into music class. Miss Commerce immediately began playing scales on the piano, and the class began singing warm-up exercises. Greg opened his mouth and his voice went O-E-O-E-O-E-O-O-O, along with all the others. But Greg's mind was elsewhere. He had big plans for Chunky Comics, huge plans. And Maura's going to try to sell her insy-binsy book and try to steal his customers. Maura was trying to eat into his profits. It's maybe mess everything up. Something had to change. Maura, to be exact, she had to change right away, like today. But as Greg sniffed through his past experiences with Maura, one particular incident jumped to mind, and it did not give him much hope. Greg's first business outside his own home was a lemonade stand. He sold his first cup of lemonade at the end of June during summer after 2nd grade. He stuck with it every hot summer, all during June, July, and August. The next summer, he sold lemonade again, and his customers came back. The second summer, he started using the honorary system. People served themselves and simply dropped quarters through a slot in the lid of a glass jar. That left Greg free to make money doing something else, like mowing the lawn at the same time. The first really hot day after summer, during the summer, after 4th grade, Greg set up shop once again. His new sign announced, "Greg's Ice Cold Lemonade, still just 25 cents. Less than an hour later, the trouble began, because there was Maura Shaw sitting across the street selling her own lemonade under a bright beach umbrella with a big sign, "Maura's Tasty Lemonade, only 20 cents. All afternoon, Greg watched helplessly. About half his customers stopped and bought lemonade from Maura. 2 days later, on a Saturday, it got hot again, and there was Maura by noon, sitting under her umbrella selling Bourgogne lemonade. However, Greg had been thinking. He loaded an ice bucket with 2 jugs of lemonade in the red wagon. Then he began pulling the wagon up and down to the people who had been trimming and working in their gardens. Direct delivery was a great idea, and some people bought 2 or 3 refills. Greg was making good money, but 20 minutes later, there was Mara on the other side of the street, pulling a wagon, selling her lemonade exactly the same way. Greg got furious. He looked around both ways, then marched across Maple Avenue and planted himself in front of Mara. She pushed a few strands of damp yellow hair off her forehead. Then she looked like Greg right in the eye. "You're in my way." Greg shook his head. "No, you're in my way. You're the ones who's stealing my customers and my ideas." Mara didn't blink. "I can sell lemonade if I want to. Anyone can, like my mom. She sold lemonade when she was little. She told me, and I can pull my wagon anywhere I want to." Then Mara took a step closer, and his freckled nose about 3 inches from Greg's, and is big and blue and absolutely fearless. "So get out of my way." Mara probably outweighed him by 15 pounds back then, and Greg didn't want to have a shoving match, so he moved off the sidewalk. But not as her wagon went by. She kicked the front wheel and said, "Why don't you try coming up with an idea of your own?" Mara said, "Maybe I will," and she stuck out her tongue. "Yeah," said Greg, "explain you don't have a brain." "I do, so prove it." "Maybe I will," Mara said again. And Greg said, "I doubt it, brainless." For about a week after that, Mara didn't show up on the lemonade trail. Greg guessed, "I think I told her." The weather stayed hot, and Greg has been making sometimes $3 or $4 a day. And one afternoon, he saw Mara going from door to door around the neighborhood, wearing a yellow dress and red socks and tiny black shoes. And it was carrying something in a wooden basket. Greg couldn't tell what she was selling, but she could see that money would change hands. He watched for 10 minutes, dying to know what she was up to. Finally, when he couldn't stand, Greg slipped out the slide door, ran across the backyard, trod down the alley, tiptoed between 2 houses, and then hid in the bushes next to Jansen's front porch. He waited almost 10 minutes, crouching in the hemlock branches, swatting at the mosquitoes. Then Mark crossed the street and walked over to Jansen's front step. Her feet sounded like a bass drum. Greg heard the bell. Her little footstep came running, and someone bumped into the storm door. Mara said, "Hey, Timmy, is your mommy home?" Timmy Jansen was about 3. After a long pause, he said, "She's my mommy." Mara said, "Yes." "Uh-huh. Can you call your mommy?" Another long pause. Timmy said, "She's my mommy." Mara laughed. "I know. So just turn and shout, 'Mommy, someone's at the door.' You can do that, right? So call her. Go on, call her. Your mommy is at home, isn't she?" Another long pause. "She's my mommy." Mara gave up and then called through the screen, Miss Jansen, it's me, Mara Shaw. Anyone home?" Greg heard bigger footsteps, and then, "Hello, Mara. Don't you look pretty today? It's not Girl Scout cookie time, is it?" "No, I'm selling potholders." Over in the bushes, Greg almost burst out laughing. "Potholders? That's so dumb." Miss Jansen thought of it. "These are beautiful, Mara, so colorful. You made them all by yourself?" "Uh-huh. Well, I want these 2 for myself, and these blue and pink ones will go perfect in my sister's kitchen. How much are you targeting?" $2 each. "Ooh, a bargain. I'm going to buy an extra pair for myself." Greg heard Miss Jansen walk away and came back to the storm door, and then Greg heard his favorite sound in all the world, the whisper of crisp bills as the money was counted out, except the bills were being counted into Mara's open hand. He was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. "Would you mind taking 4 quarters?" "Not at all." Greg heard the coins, and then Miss Jansen and that makes $12. Mara said, "Thank you," and "Thank you, Mara. We'll think of you every time we use these potholes, won't we?" Timmy said, "She's my mommy." Greg had heard enough. He slipped over the bushes, scouted between 2 houses, and ran home. It was hot, so he poured himself a glass of his leftover lemonade. It tasted sour. Greg remembered grabbing a pencil and a memo pad so he can do some calculating. If Mara had gone around the neighborhood and if every mom was home by a couple of potholes, then she made as much as $50 in one afternoon. $50, serious money. Then the doorbell rang as mom called down from the basement. Greg, would you mind opening who was at the door? It was Mark. She smiled at Greg and said, "Hello, little boy. Is your mommy home?" Greg glared at him, and then he glared and he said, "She's my mommy." Greg's blue eye got wide and then narrowed. And she pointed an accusing finger and said, "You smiling me at the Jansens, weren't you?" Greg's grin got bigger, and then he said, "She's my money." Then whoop! He slammed the door in Mara's face. It felt so good. The bell rang again. As he opened the door for the second time, he called over his shoulder, "Mom, there's something at the door for you. It's for you." Greg's mom burst into the front hallway. "Mara, I was hoping to see you." Mrs. Altman called and seeing you walking around saying the prettiest pot holders. I hope you have some nice ones left for me." Greg had gone up about 4 steps on the front hall stairs, leaning against the banister so he could look over his mom's shoulder. There was a yellow cloth at the bottom of the basket, and the potholders were arranged they look like diamonds instead of squares. "These are lovely, Mara. How much do they cost?" Mara hesitated for half a second and said, $3. "3?" said Greg. "I thought they were only $2 each." But Mara held ground. "I only got 4 left, and these were my best ones. These are $3 each." Greg knew exactly what Mara was doing. She was raising her prices, trying to discover what the most a customer would actually pay. It was a smart thing to do. It was something Greg would have done himself. And sure enough, his mom said, "Only $3 for a beautiful handmade pothole. I'll take them all." And then she ran to get her purse. Mara knows she just won a battle, so she looked up at a big smile and then said, "Still don't think I have a brain? I just made $12. Another $12 right here at your house. Say, I'm thirsty." She pulled up a quarter from her dress and held out to him. "Could you get me a cup of lemonade?" Greg curled lip and said, "I wouldn't give you," but just as Mom came back, he hadn't finished the sentence. He turned around, stopped up the stairs, and into his bedroom and slammed the door. Sitting in the music room more than a year after the lemonade battles, Greg still remembered clearly what happened next. He walked over to his bedroom window and watched Marsha walk across Maple Avenue swinging her empty picnic basket around and pushed another $12 into his dress pocket. And that, remember, and thinking about potholders and selling them to moms had been a smart idea. And getting dressed up, also a smart idea. Greg remembered how much he had called him brainless was actually a good thinker. Mara did have a brain, and not like that one, she would call him charging $3 per pot instead of 2. And that taking some guts. And remember that Mara had guts reminded Greg how much he hated her. Mara was a tough competitor, and in another 35 minutes she'd see her because they were both in level 4 math. It was time for a showdown. And that's the end of chapter 6. Hope you enjoy, and make sure to smash the subscribe button and ring that notification bell for more Lunch Money content. Bye!